Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it.
Have the following objectives. Describes principal roots and tells whether they are rational or irrational. Number 2. Determines between what two integers the square root of the number is. Number 3. Estimates the square root of a whole number to the nearest hundredths. Number 4. Plots irrational numbers up to square root on a number line. Square root. The square root of a number is a number when you multiply it by itself will give you the original number. Example. The square root of 36 equals plus and minus 6. Positive 6 times positive 6 equals 36. Negative 6 times negative 6 equals 36. Positive 6 is the principal square root of 36. We have the square root of 81 equals plus and minus 9. Positive 9 times positive 9 equals 81. Negative 9 times negative 9 equals 81. Positive 9 is the principal square root of 81. So we have the square root. The square root of 1 equals plus and minus 1. The square root of 4 equals plus and minus 2. The square root of 9 equals plus and minus 3, and so forth. The square root of 121 equals plus and minus 11. The square root of 144 equals plus and minus 12, up to the last. Determine whether the number is rational or irrational. How do we know if the number is a rational number? If it is a perfect square, it is rational. If it is not a perfect square, it is irrational. Look at the square root of 1. Square root of 1 is plus and minus 1. That is a perfect square, and that is rational. Square root of 2 and square root of 3 are not perfect square, therefore the two are irrational. Square root of 4 is a perfect square, that is plus and minus 2, so that is rational. Square root of 5, square root of 6, square root of 7, and square root of 8 are all irrational, while the square root of 9 equals plus and minus 3, and that is a perfect square, and that is rational. Now we are going to answer the given. We need to determine if the given is rational or irrational. How do we know whether it is rational? If it is a perfect square. How do we know whether it is irrational? If it is not a perfect square. So we need to answer number 1, square root of 14. Number 2, square root of 175. Number 3, square root of 400. Number 4, square root of 121. And the last number, the square root of 112. To answer the problem. Number 1, that is irrational. Number 2, irrational. Number 3, rational. Number 4, rational. And number 5, irrational. Did you get the correct answer? Very good. We need to determine between which two consecutive integers does the square root of 54 lies. So we have 54. So square root of 54 is in between square root of 49 and square root of 64. So we have this one. Square root of 54 is in between square root of 49 and square root of 64. What is the square root of 49? The square root of 49 is 7, and the square root of 64 is 8. Thus, square root of 54 is a decimal number greater than 7 but less than 8. We need to determine between which two consecutive integers does square root of 174 lies. So we have 174. It is in between square root of 169 and square root of 196. So square root of 174 is in between square root of 169 and square root of 196. What is the square root of 169? The answer is 13. How about the square root of 196? The answer is 14. Therefore, thus, the square root of 174 is a decimal number greater than 13 but less than 14. Now we are ready to answer the exercises. Between which two consecutive integers does the square root of a number lies? Number 1, square root of 67. Number 2, square root of 190. Number 3, square root of 147. Number 4 is square root of 28. And the last number, number 5, is square root of 240. To answer the given problem. Square root of 67 is between 8 and 9. Square root of 190 is between 13 and 14. Square root of 147 is between 12 and 13. Square root of 28 is between 5 and 6. And square root of 240 is between 15 and 16. Did you get it correct, class? Very good. We need to estimate the square root of 5 to the nearest hundredths. Square root of 5 is in between square root of 4 and square root of 9. Square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3. So we have, it is in between 2 and 3. Since it is in between 2 and 3, we can start with 2 and 1/10 squared. That is equivalent to 4 and 41 hundredths. 2 and 2/10 squared is equivalent to 4 and 84 hundredths. And 2 and 3/10 squared is equivalent to 5 and 29 hundredths. This is already more than 5. So we can make use of 2 and 2/10 and 2 and 3/10. So we can proceed with 2 and 23 hundredths squared, which is equivalent to 4 and 9,729 10,000s. And 2 and 24 hundredths squared is equivalent to 5 and 176 10,000s. So square root of 5 is close to 5 and 176 10,000. Therefore, square root of 5 is equivalent to 2 and 24 hundredths. We need to estimate the square root of 110 to the nearest hundredths. The square root of 110 is in between square root of 100 and square root of 1 to 1. Square root of 100 is 10 and square root of 1 to 1 is 11. So it is in between 10 and 11. We can start with 10 and 3/10 squared, which is equivalent to 106 and 9 hundredths. 10 and 4/10 squared, which is equivalent to 108 and 16 hundredths. And 10 and 5/10 squared, which is equivalent to 110 and 25 hundredths. So square root of 110 must lie between 10 and 4/10 and 10 and 5/10. So we can start with 10 and 47 hundredths squared, which is equivalent to 109, and 6,209 10,000s. 10 and 48 hundredths squared, which is equal to 109, and 8,304 10,000s. And 10 and 49 hundredths squared, which is equivalent to 110, and 401 10,000s. So 110 is closer to 110 and 401 10,000s. Therefore, by estimation, square root of 110 is approximately equal to 10 and 49 hundredths. We need to plot the following irrational or rational numbers in the number line. So we have square root of 75, square root of 121, and square root of 205. Square root of 75 is in between square root of 64 and square root of 81. Square root of 64 is 8, and square root of 81 is 9. Therefore, square root of 75 is between 8 and 9. This is our plot. Next, we have square root of 121, which is equivalent to 11. So we have square root of 205. Square root of 205 is in between square root of 196 and square root of 225. Square root of 196 is 14, and square root of 225 is 15. So square root of 205 is in between 14 and 15. So this is the square root of 205. We need to plot the following irrational and rational numbers in the number line. We have square root of 102, square root of 144, and square root of 71. Ready to plot the following irrational and rational numbers in number line. We have square root of 102. Square root of 102 is in between 10 and 11. Why? 10 times 10 is 100, and 11 times 11 is 121. We have square root of 144, that is 12. We have square root of 71. Square root of 71 is in between 8 and 9. Why? 8 times 8 is 64. 9 times 9 is 81. Did you get the right answer? Very good. Congratulations. Thank you for watching.